You're listening to the Everyday Astrology Podcast. I'm Hilary Scott, your astrologer, and this is the forecast for the week of July 3rd until the 9th. Monday, we have a big, beautiful Capricorn full moon. And Capricorn, we all get like one full moon a year, and Capricorns happens in the summer, and it's a great time to have like a yearly check-in because it's such a good sign with all the details and everything you need to know to understand, like the little, minutia, all the things that you need to know to understand the details, and like check off the list, create the list that you need to make to check off to get the things done that you want to get done. You can check and see, like, how's your finances? How's everything that you tried starting? Is it working out? Do you need to go in a different direction? Are things going according to plan? It can be stressful when the moon is full because it really shines a light on the inner workings of our psyches, of the whole world psyches. So there's just a very huge kind of build up and opposition between the sun and the moon that challenges us to integrate our inner world with our outer world. So if something isn't in alignment, then the full moon comes along and you really start to feel that. You'll start to feel the stress of it. It can make you feel tired. It can actually, depending on your own energy and how it's connecting to your own birth chart, it can have to do with how much energy you have. So if you happen to be a Capricorn and the full moon is in Capricorn, it does give you the energy to kind of see what you're doing. It really resonates with your own natural thing. But if you're Cancer, it's the opposite, it can be stressful. Like you can be like, oh, but I just want to settle in and stay home, which is where the Cancer sun is right now. But the moon is like, well, we've got all this work to do, and have we got it done? And what are we building? And what's the point of all this? We've got to make something of ourselves. So be careful with the balance. That's what the oppositions are there to help us integrate both sides of our character. Cancer is home and emotion and family and connection. And Capricorn is like, get her done. This is what we got to do to achieve what we want to achieve, to have the beautiful home so the family can have somewhere to live, to have the job that pays for the things that make everyone happy. There's just this balance that needs to occur, which is very much trying to happen with the full moon on Monday the 3rd. The full moon is Pacific time at 4:38 a.m. We also have that full moon trining Jupiter. So it's expanding everything. Jupiter is seeking the truth. It wants justice. But if it's kind of the dark side of Jupiter, it can just expand whatever it touches. So if maybe you like to have wine every now and again, suddenly you find yourself like with must-have wine every night, where it just expands the whatever it might be. And it likes pleasure. So if you associate something with giving you pleasure, then it's definitely could be a dangerous mixture for like gluttony. So keep that in mind too. Otherwise, often good opportunities come, happy times, like jovial, truthful, justice-seeking conversations occur. The truth is like a giant beach ball, and Jupiter is the air inside of it. And it just has to push through and rise up, even if there's all this pressure for it to be hidden and contained. So that is going on the full moon as well. And we also have the sun and Mercury right near each other during this full moon opposite. So Mercury being involved means that there's something that we need to think about. There's something we need to communicate about. Maybe just being your true and total self is very important right now. And you need to say what you feel and express yourself, especially with Mercury and the sun in Cancer. The need to talk about feelings and what's going on underneath things can be very important to cultivating a feeling of intimacy and closeness in a relationship. If you can't talk about what you're feeling or what your fears are or worries or concerns or whatever, the stuff that we feel but not necessarily speak, it's not as good for a relationship or for feeling cleared out of your own emotions as it is when you speak. Speak about what you feel. So this is a good time to consider that with the Sun and Mercury connect. Also, if you have any sort of like communication projects, you need to share your idea, you need to get it out there, you need to communicate. Communicate is what you want to do when the Sun and Mercury are conjunct. You could it could be over the top where maybe you're a bit too pushy. I'm just thinking about Jupiter kind of tying in there too, where you might be like, Jupiter can also be quite self-righteous energy. So you like hand on hip and you stomp your foot and you're like wagging your finger. This is how it is. And I know this is how it is. At the same time, Jupiter is ever expanding. So it does take in new truths and new ideas all the time. It's not like Taurus or like a fixed energy, which is very unlikely to let in new ideas unless it kind of comes across it itself, but not nearly with the rate of Jupiter. It's like this constantly expanding philosopher. So there's always new truths to talk about. That could be going on. You might just be a little bit more self-righteous than you would like to when you wake up the next day. So keep that in mind. Also, the same day, the moon is trining Uranus. So there's like something exciting and unexpected, things that you really wouldn't see coming. I always say that with Jupiter, and it's so true, or not Jupiter, Uranus. It's an unexpected energy. It can be like lightning bolt flashes, downloads of information, sudden revelation, sudden meetings with unexpected people, sudden opportunities, sudden things that change your life. The course of your life happens when Uranus is in the house, and it's trining the moon. So it's a supportive, like blessing energy. So something exciting is happening, something new and interesting and lucky that you didn't see coming, but it's coming and it's on its way. So open your heart to whatever it might be, even though you don't know what it is yet. So that is the full moon. You want to do your list, write down what you think you've accomplished so far, write down what you would still like to accomplish. Like we've already gone like 6 months into the year. So it is a good time to just check in. Are you on track? Do you need to renegotiate some of your plans? On Tuesday, the moon will be conjunct Pluto and sextiling Neptune. That again is like kind of very maybe dreamy, deep energy. You might have, let's say, like a really meaningful dream. Pluto is trying to communicate something that you might be repressing, and Neptune is wanting you to understand the spirituality of it, the higher purpose. It brings you the synchronicities and the magic and the dreams, and then you see someone that you were just dreaming about. That kind of magical coincidence of life is when Neptune is in the house, and Pluto just wants us to make sure that we're not repressing anything that's holding our power away from us. So if we can just be ballsy enough to feel all our feelings, then we can move forth and we can prosper and we can have all of our power. It's like when you call back all the pieces of yourself. So you might have gotten left somewhere. So call yourself back. Tuesday's a great day for that. The full moon is a great day for that. On Wednesday, it's a squaring day. It's like, you might get a lot of work done because squares force growth, which maybe you didn't expect you were going to have to get a lot of work done. And now all of a sudden you have a lot of work to do. Again, it has the moon connecting to Jupiter, to Chiron. Mercury is squaring Chiron. And then it's also the moon is squaring Uranus. So that's a lot of possible discordance is the word we like to use. But it can also be just as like, oh no, it's hard. But often there's a reason that it's hard and it's making you grow in some way. It's like for your greater good that the hardness is occurring. With Mercury squaring Chiron, you might be triggered. There might be some kind of mental trigger. Something someone says to you makes you feel wounded, or maybe how you communicate wounds another. So be very careful about that. Make sure that you're just not, pissed off or triggered and then you hurt someone else, because that's not something you want to do, obviously. So that day, again, the Uranus energy makes everything kind of sudden and unpredictable. So the best thing to do when you've got Uranus in the house is keep grounded. And it really makes a difference to keep grounded. Get your bare feet on the grass or on the ground. And that will help your whole nervous system relax. You won't be frazzled and edgy and more prone to accidents, which can happen with Uranian energy. So if you keep grounded, keep your body grounded, make sure you're like highly hydrated and just feeling in your body. And that can handle any kind of Uranus energy much, much better. So we do on the 6th is a super busy day moving into the weekend, the Thursday going into Friday, very busy, like holy cow. There is possibly maybe some strife between like siblings and in relationships. There's like activating of the moon opposite with Mars and with Venus. So there could be like maybe like a this or that, a struggle even within you with your feelings and maybe what you got to do or what you want to do. Neptune is also connecting to Mars that day. So you might just feel like tired or confused or challenged in some way to get something like a project off the ground, but you're still not entirely clear about where it's going because of the Neptunian energy. Hopefully you'll be getting like flashes of insight and synchronicities and things like that through the lovely sextile between Mercury and Uranus. So Mercury rules our thinking and how we process information and what we communicate. And connecting to Uranus, it could be something unusual, like maybe like actually talking about astrology would be an unusual thing to communicate about. It's not your usual topic of conversation in the world. It's even ruled by Uranus, the topic of astrology. So it's just something kind of out of the norm that is just highly fascinating and comes to you and you're like, wow, download a new information and you're off and running in a whole new direction with amazing information that can change your life, like astrology can. So that day, there will be kind of maybe a little bit of a snafu when the moon conjuncts Mars later in the evening, or not Mars. There may be a little bit of a snafu when the moon conjuncts Saturn later in the evening, when like it can just make you feel maybe a little dark for a moment, or maybe a worry passes over you because it's the moon, so it's moving quickly. 15 degrees every hour, I believe, is how quickly the moon moves. That's so fast. It's a big sky clock up there, just marking everything. That's how I'm able to speak to you about what's coming, because it's all just like this routine movements through the sky that can be tracked with an ephemeris, which is, I think that's how you say it. I always wonder if that's a different word I'm saying there. I'll have to dig into that one. So you just might be feeling a little bit off with the Saturn moon conjunction. But don't worry, it shall pass and you are going to feel fine, and things going into the weekend are quite lovely. Jupiter is sextiling the moon, so is Uranus sextiling the moon, and the sun and the moon are in a trine. So it's a good day, the 7th. It's a Pisces day. Maybe something wonderful is going to be created just because you like made a difference in the world and put your efforts in. Something fabulous could happen, especially anything to do with creativity and going outside your comfort zone and being who you are, honoring who you are, and being very truthful and authentic. That can be very well rewarded. There is, going into Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be an Aries moon, but Neptune is highly active this weekend. So active in that way that it brings the magic. It can bring the synchronicity and the we are one, and maybe dreaming of something that's happening, or there's just this kind of deja vu synchronicity energy that comes with Neptune active that is just so magical. I love it. Like, I really do wish all of life was just so, I mean, it can be, but there's times in life when it's more obvious that magical coincidences and synchronicities are happening. This weekend could definitely be one of them. Make sure that you communicate. Get out there and speak and connect and communicate, and you will be able to reap the best and like the rewards of this energy, because it really is like Neptune and Mercury. It makes me think of something like communicating something magical, communicating something that has spiritual import, or discussing otherworldly things, talking about maybe you're a channel and you receive information, or maybe you can see people who've passed on, or you can communicate with animals. All the magical stuff that us humans do definitely falls under Neptune. Pluto is in there too, making sure that we dig deep into the truth of it. Like, where do our gifts come from? What is the true history of our gifts? It can be a very deep magical energy this weekend. So that is it for this week. So much is going on. The Capricorn full moon, please make sure you capitalize on that like a good Capricorn would, because it is really powerful energy to make your plans. Mercury is there, Jupiter is there, Uranus is there. It's a magical, potent time for us to get clear. Write out your list. If you write it all out, then when you get confused, you can go back to the master plan and you'll know that it was written when things were trustworthy and like that Capricorn stable energy. The master plan will always be there for you to refer to, so you can keep moving ahead to achieve what will make you most happy and manifest a life that is really worth living and true to your heart. So thank you so much for listening. Many blessings, and I'll talk to you next week.